This is my absolute promise to you that you won't ever have to watch any other self improvement video if you apply what I'm sharing here. I have wasted hundreds of hours on self improvement content, and let me warn you that it's not only gonna waste your time, but it's also gonna kill all of your potential and it's also gonna kill all of your individuality. The problem with these self improvement coaches is that they literally treat you like an animal. I am sure you might have heard them talk about the Pavlov's experiment of dog, and they tell you that you can condition yourself like a dog as well for the purposes of being more productive or breaking any habit. I have seen these alpha sigma male YouTubers talk about creating an anti-vision, like you must imagine something worst happening to you in immediate future, so that when you imagine that, you are filled with fear, you are filled with guilt, and then you use that fear as a fuel to act on your goals. I have also seen this one YouTuber advising everyone to literally curse at themselves, literally affirm that I am a loser and I'll fail if I don't do XYZ, if I don't take cold showers, my future wife will leave me, and stuff like that. Now, let me tell you that all of this is absolute and utter bullshit, because you cannot ape shit your way out of procrastination or guilt and shame yourself into discipline and achievement, because you are not an ape and you are not a dog. You are a human being. We are made to believe that we are just bundle of instincts, and there is a very famous idea that all of the behaviors of humans is rooted in two base desires. Number one is the avoidance of pain, and number two is seeking of pleasure. And I totally disagree with that. Let me introduce you to a far more mature approach to self improvement. And for that, you have to realize that all of these psychological researches that were done on animals cannot 100% apply on you, because a human being is much more complex than a dog or an ape. And these psychological researches on animals cannot 100% apply on us, because a human is half animal and half a spiritual being. And by spiritual, I do not mean any woo woo stuff. By spiritual, I simply mean the higher faculties of our minds, such as imagination, self awareness, idea generation, creativity, intuition, and so forth. Fear cannot work on us. Like, fear cannot literally work on us, and it might work once or twice in your lifetime, but if you use this approach of using fear or guilt to motivate yourself to act on anything, or to use willpower to do something, then that's just gonna hurt your spiritual side. That's just gonna hurt your higher faculties of your mind. So, what can we do about it? There's one simple thing that if you understand and if you apply, it's gonna free you from all of these YouTubers, from all of these courses. Like, literally, your search will be over. And it's also gonna free you from all of your undesirable habits. And that one thing is to utilize your spiritual side. The tool that we are gonna use for that is love. Now, this might have thrown you off a bit, but don't you worry, because I'm gonna share practical step-by-step process with you. So relax. But before I share the process with you, there is one simple thing that you have to understand. Suppose this stickman is you, and in front of you there are some of the most common goals of humanity. Number one is your finances. Let's say you wanna make more money. You learn new skills, you go out into the world, you apply them, you express yourself in certain ways, and you end up with more money than you have started with. Now, if you want a relationship, you go out, you express yourself in certain ways, you improve your skills, you learn how to communicate, you learn lots of other things, and hopefully you end up with a better relationship. Now, for our last example, let's say you want to be healthier. So you go out, you express yourself in certain ways, you improve your eating habits, you improve your movements, you join a gym, and then you end up with a healthier body. But we all wish it was that easy. It's never a straight line and it's never this easy, because there are some things that stop us, and these obstacles, they manifest in our lives as distraction, as self doubt, as laziness, as procrastination, as imposter syndrome. There are like literally thousands of them. So to move ahead, we have to work around these obstacles. But to work around them, we have to understand where they came from. Now, this is also you, but this is a smaller you from your childhood, before the age of 7. Now, let's say if you wanted to experience something, you went out into the world, you attempted to express yourself in a certain way. But in result of that, you received some kind of harsh judgment, some kind of punishment, and that hurt caused you to conclude something, such as you learned that I cannot sing. You learned that if I speak my mind, if I speak my heart out, then I'll receive punishment. You might have learned that I am not important. You might have learned that if I speak up, then I'll be judged. That was the case with me, because when I was small, whenever I opened my mouth, I was made fun of in school and in my friend circle, because my voice was super thin. So everyone just made fun of me. But in that moment, you learn something about yourself. You learn something about the world, that, okay, this is it. And that learning just comes together like this ball that I've drawn. It becomes an energy field in your psychology. And this part of your psyche literally breaks itself from your conscious self. Like, you are not conscious of it, it fragments itself and it becomes a separate entity. Now, the problem is that you have grown up, you are an adult now, but this part of you is still that child. And this is where the obstacles come from. This is where the hurdles come from. This is where the self sabotage come from, and all those kind of things which stop us from growing. Now, what happens is, whenever you are about to do something that you intend to do, and whenever you are about to take a step out of your comfort zone, this part of you pulls you back. Not because it's your enemy, but because it's your small friend trying to protect you and trying to save you from potential hurt. Now, it is our perception that procrastination is bad, that laziness is bad, that imposter syndrome is bad. But all of these things are just defense mechanism which are being inflicted upon you by your inner child, by your childhood self. The things that you have concluded. So, how do we work around that? How can we overcome this part of ourselves? First of all, you have to take this idea out of your mind that this is bad, that all of these harmful patterns are bad. Let me assure you that you won't ever have to use willpower against it, because it's your friend, it's not your enemy. You don't have to fight it, you have to work around it. To grow past this part of you, the process is simple. You first have to acknowledge this part. You have to acknowledge its efforts of protecting you, and you have to acknowledge its friendliness towards you, and just thank it and give it your love. You literally have to sit with yourself and watch yourself and do your absolute best to give it the most love that you can possibly give, because that is what it has always been wanting, to be loved and to be acknowledged. Since this part exists within your subconscious mind, it does not possess any kind of reasoning, it doesn't possess any kind of logic. It's purely emotional. So you have to lovingly, as an adult, give it a part of your understanding, because you know better. It doesn't know anything. It's just an emotional pattern. You have to provide it with a piece of your wisdom, with a piece of your understanding. It doesn't know the consequences of not working on yourself and not improving in life. All it cares about is just protecting you from potential hurt. Because let's just face it, whenever you step out of your comfort zone, there is some kind of hurt that you would have to face. So when you listen to these influencers and their motivation filled advices that you must use a willpower, that you must imagine something bad happening to you, then you'll be filled with fear and use that fear, that is totally wrong. Because the more you do that, the more this part of you grips harder and harder on you. But when you give this part your love, your compassion, and your presence, This part is touched by the very thing it is afraid to lose if you went out of your comfort zone. This is a bar. You might have to write this down. When you give this part presence, love, and compassion, this part gets touched by the very things it is afraid to lose if you went outside of your comfort zone. And slowly and surely, it learns that it is safe to let go. It is safe to let the grip go, and nothing bad will happen. Nothing will fall into pieces. When you provide such safety to your inner child, fear and doubt starts to melt away from you. It becomes easier for you to be productive. It becomes easier for you to apply the things that you have been wanting to apply. And the most beautiful part of this process is that this same inner child that has handicapped you all these years now becomes a source of inspiration for you. It sends out ideas to you, it gives you inspiration, and it also gives you courage to exert those ideas onto the world. So here's the process step by step, as I promised. Step one is you feel frustrated that you cannot bring yourself to do something. And it's not just about doing, it could be something that you may be having a hard time feeling happy. So it can be something tangible and it can be something intangible. It doesn't matter. Step two is you pause, you take a deep breath, and you relax and try to shift from frustration to curiosity. Like, this part is saving me from potential hurt. Now, the next step is you have to talk to this inner child, but please be authentic. You can say, "Thank you for trying to help me. I know this is scary. There is no pressure. I am here for you." And as you say these words, imagine as if you are soothing and comforting your inner child. And imagine how you were in your childhood and you are comforting yourself. And then say, "If you are willing to soften a little, I'll be right here with you. We can do it slowly, one step at a time. And we can do it together." Feel love and support for it as you say these words. So what you are doing is you are creating an environment of safety for it that wasn't available for you when you were a child. Now there's a huge disclaimer that I want to give, which is that most people confuse love with coddling. We are not coddling right now. What we are doing here is overcoming the frailty of this inner child by providing it your strength and your accountability. We are not going to sit down with it inside a drain. So if I catch you saying things like, "Oh, my inner child needs some support, it needs some safety, so I'm gonna go off my diet and eat that chocolate cake," or if you say that, "Oh, my inner child is triggered right now, so I'm gonna postpone that gathering that I've been looking out for," if you say these things, then I'm gonna personally find you and beat you with a stick or probably with my hands. Do not use this process to fuel your narcissistic needs. Now that is out of the way, you can use this process whenever you find that you are postponing something for too long. Maybe you want to start a business but you are afraid to start it. Maybe there's imposter syndrome in you. Maybe you are procrastinating on something. If I had to give my example, it would be I was having a hard time speaking in front of a camera from a long time. I've been wanting to do this from last few years, and I've always considered myself not ready for it because I was afraid, because I shared the example earlier that I got bullied in childhood for my speaking, and I had to provide safety to that part, that inner child, before I could do this, before I could hit record and speak. The same process applies on you. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is, maybe it could be discipline, maybe it could be going to the gym every day, it could be some scary decision, going outside of your comfort zone, asking someone out, it could be anything. Just apply this process and then take the step. Now that you have understood this mechanism, I hope you can see how ridiculous these empty motivation filled advices are on self-improvement, how these conventional techniques and gimmicks are. I hope you can see that this is a much more mature and worthwhile process to do. and how these monkey mice researches cannot and do not apply on you. So always remember this golden rule. Never neglect your feelings, but don't give in to them either. Soothe yourself into discipline and action rather than using fear and guilt as a motivational tool. If you found this video valuable, then please consider sharing it with a friend, and also share your insights, your thoughts, any question you might have under the comments, and I would be happy to respond to that. And if you want to see more videos like this, then stick around.